Welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 12, National Football League. New York Football Giants, 4-game winning streak, taking on the Dallas Cowboys, coming off of their bye week. NFC East, family business, big matchup in this division. Just 4 weeks ago, the Giants were 0-6. 4 weeks later, 4 games later, 4 wins later, they're 4-6 and right in the thick of things in the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys, meanwhile, went on their bye in first place in the division. They come off the bye in second place behind the 6-5 Philadelphia Eagles. So now a win at Giant Stadium versus the Giants, snapping their winning streak, would put the Dallas Cowboys back atop the NFC East at 6-5, and it would drop the Giants down to 4-7 and basically dash not all, but essentially all of their hopes of winning this division again. Even if they were to lose this game, they still would only be 2 back in the loss column, so all would not be lost. But they would need essentially a collapse from both the Eagles and the Giants to get it done the Eagles and the Cowboys to get it done if the Giants want to come back and win this division. And that's the only way a team like the New York Giants is going to get into the postseason, is winning the NFC East. So big matchup at Giants Stadium, and it started early, very slow. Both teams finding it hard to get into the end zone. And the first touchdown of the game actually came on the defensive side of the football, as the Cowboys defense was able to strip the football from Victor Cruz and able to scoop it up and score. The safety Jeff Heath able to run it in. Cowboys take a 7-0 lead. They are then the Giants come with their answer with a field goal, cut it to 7-3. Giants in this game were doing much of the same thing they had been doing during this winning streak. It's just that the Cowboys were a better opponent, and they showed a list of the teams that the Giants had beat on this 4-game winning streak, all of them being backups with the exception of Terrell Pryor, and he was banged up in that game, but they beat Josh Freeman about a week removed from being brought into Minnesota, or 2 weeks of having that playbook in Minnesota. He was abysmal. They beat him. They beat Scott Tolzien, backup for the Packers. They beat Matt Barkley of the Eagles, yuck. And then they, of course, beat the Raiders with Terrell Pryor, and he was on one leg, essentially. So this Giants team has taken advantage of some bad football teams. But again, you can't blame them for doing what the NFL did, which is put these teams in front of them. You can't blame them for beating the teams that the NFL put in front of them. So they did what they were supposed to do. They've won 4 in a row, but this Cowboys team was going to present a different challenge for them in the form of Tony Romo and an offense that was actually competent and able to score points. And if Eli Manning felt like turning it over, they were going to lose this game. But surprisingly enough, it was the Cowboys making all of the mistakes, allowing the Giants to hang tough in this game, because this game could have gotten out of control. The Cowboys were up 14-6 at the half. They were in control of this game, and the Giants just managed to hang around. Des Bryant had a turnover and a few drops early in the game, had a ball go off his hands, carry him up into the air, picked off by Antrell Roll. He had about 3 drops in the first half. In the second half, Cowboys are driving for some points. He has the ball stripped out of his hands, and even though the Cowboys ultimately are able to retain possession, they lose about 25 yards on the play and end up having to punt. So Des Bryant was part of the problem with this Cowboys team early in this game, and the Cowboys were undisciplined. They had about 12 penalties, so did the Giants, though. And this is what you expected from this game. NFC East, family business, 2 teams kind of struggling this season, both trying to find their way. And in the Giants' case, they're just trying to find an opponent that's solid, that they can beat, so that they know that this winning streak is for real. And if you're the Cowboys, you just need to continue to try to find ways to win football games, because this division is at a point where you can steal it. And if you just find ways to win games, maybe it's your number at the end of the season that they call, and you get to represent the NFC East at the end of this division. if you continue to stockpile the wins. But it's not going to be easy down the stretch for this Dallas Cowboys team. But they didn't make it easy on themselves in this game. Turnovers, near turnovers, not touching down receivers when they catch the football, allowing him to get up and run into the end zone. That play, to me, symbolizes the undisciplined nature of the Cowboys right now. And it also symbolizes the Giants in this game having life. Because up until that point, the Giants hadn't scored a touchdown in this game. The Cowboys had them essentially reduced to just kicking field goals. The score was 14-6 at the time. And then the Cowboys allow the Giants tight end to catch the football. He's not touched down on the play. Bruce Carter runs right by him, doesn't touch him. So does another Cowboys defender who comes by, doesn't touch him. He gets up, gets into the end zone. It's a touchdown. It's 13-6. And it's 13-14 now. Giants right back in this football game. Cowboys go down the field, and they hit Witten in the end zone, does Romo. It's now 21-13. Cowboys take an 8-point lead. And they've got this game well in hand, but they keep making mistakes. I talked about that Dez Bryant fumble that made them have to punt on a possession where they were looking like they were going to score some points. Cowboys just did a lot of things that kept this Giants team alive. Giants ultimately go down the field, get in the end zone, get the 2-point conversion, tie the game up at 21. But Tony Romo, not to be outdone in this football game, takes the Cowboys back down the field, puts them in field goal range. And to me, one of the best kickers in the league, Dan Bailey, who's almost automatic, knocks it home. And the Cowboys escape Giants Stadium with a 24-21 victory. To me, this was a game that the Cowboys dominated and should have won a lot more handily than they did. But again, a win in the National Football League. You'll take them any way you can get them. And the Cowboys happen to get this one by 3 points, 24-21, which now puts them atop the NFC East, tied with the Eagles, but by virtue of tiebreakers, beating the Eagles once already this season. The Cowboys hold that lead at 6-5. Giants drop to 4-7. They're still alive in this division, but that makes their chances of winning this division that much harder. But again, from where they've come from, the depths of destruction at 0-6, this is a huge feat for the Giants getting to 4-6 and playing a meaningful game against the Cowboys. That didn't seem like a possibility just 5 weeks ago when this team was winless. So big win for the Cowboys. Tough loss at home for the Giants. I think this is one of those come back to reality losses for the Giants because, again, I wasn't sold on them during that winning streak. They beat a lot of, subpar to really bad football teams during that stretch. They beat a lot of bad quarterbacks. And now they finally faced one that was good in Tony Romo, and they faced a solid team in the Cowboys, and they weren't able to get it done. And that's exactly what I expected to happen. So big win for the Cowboys. They're now atop the NFC East. If the playoffs started today, they would be your 4 seed with the Dallas Cowboys. Tough loss for the Giants. They fall to 4-7. And again, their hopes of doing something this season continue to dwindle with each and every single loss. And this one was a huge loss. Too many mistakes by the Giants. A lot of mistakes by the Cowboys, but they made up for those mistakes in the end by winning the football game. That's going to do it for this installment of In the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me. Continue to join me as I continue to break down all of the action in week number 12 in the National Football League.